their status. But right now, we are very pleased to be joined by the president of a for-profit institution out in Arizona, Grand Canyon University. The president of that institution, Brian Mueller, joins us via telephone. Brian, we are very pleased to welcome you today to America's Forum.
Thank you for having me. This is a really important topic to be discussed.
Well, let's just begin with your take. What the president outlined there in graphic fashion, saying that for-profit institutions were essentially creating problems. Brian, I'm interested. What has been your experience? Is there a grain of truth in what the president had to say? What's your take on it?
Well, when you look at the cost of living increases that have taken place in this country in the last 25 years, and then compare them to the cost of a college education, it is very, very clear that they're so far outstripping the cost of living increases that something clearly needs to be done. And so on one side of it, philosophically speaking, I'm absolutely in favor of what he's saying. Universities need to take a look at their basic infrastructure, how they're providing education to students, so that costs can be brought under control, and this can be something that all socioeconomic sectors in our society have access to. But the part I disagree with him on is isolating out those that have those universities that have an investment strategy versus a tax or donation strategy, and that's where he's clearly wrong. This is a problem across the board, and all universities need to be held accountable for controlling their costs, increasing their graduation rates, and making higher education affordable to all social classes of Americans, and in areas where graduates are going to get jobs, good-paying jobs, and jobs that drive the economy.
You mentioned that, and Brian, one of the president's pointed criticism was the claim that for-profit college programs produce graduates who make less money on average than high school dropouts. Do you accept that charge from the administration?
It's way too blanket a statement. The problem with what you have mainly in the not-for-profit area are traditional universities and colleges, both private and state universities. State universities are well funded through state subsidies, and those monies often aren't included when you talk about the full cost of an education for a student, which really clouds the issue economically. Private universities typically are well funded from an endowment perspective and cater to the upper classes in our society. They can be as much as $40,000 or $50,000 a year, or $200,000 for 4 years. On the other side of it, there's only 7 or 8 universities with an investment strategy that are regionally accredited, that are prominent in our society, and most of those are doing a pretty good job of educating students and graduating them. Where this thing gets messy is there's thousands of mom and pop private colleges or schools that are vocational and technical in nature, and there is significant abuse in that area. Now, there are some that are doing a great job that are in that area, but there is abuse in that area. But if you go back on the other side and you look at state universities and the increase in tuitions and the increase in room and board and the increase in state subsidies, it is not better on that side in terms of controlling costs and making students are graduating in areas where they can get good jobs. And so there are problems on both sides of it, and it really would be helpful for the president when he speaks to break out those vocational technical schools from the regionally accredited schools that fit into the category of the state universities and the private universities.
Well, Brian, tell us about Grand Canyon University, and specifically job training and job placement programs you have there, and in terms of your student body and really what has gone on at Grand Canyon, because as one who used to live in Arizona, I certainly recall the days when Grand Canyon was a not-for-profit university, and the changes have come. So fill us in on what has transpired there on your campus.
Grand Canyon is an extremely exciting story, and one that everybody has an interest in, and one that's going to be replicated in a lot of places. Grand Canyon was a small private Christian university for decades in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And then in the year 2004, Grand Canyon got into huge financial difficulties. The $20 million in debt, about ready to close its doors. It was going to be finished. The decision was made to move from a not-for-profit tax bracket to a for-profit tax bracket, because once you become for-profit, you can go out and look for an investor. And the simple strategy was build a business plan, look for investors, and see if you can make it work that way, because obviously as a private university, there's no tax dollars available to us, and Grand Canyon's graduates had been nurses and teachers. There was no donation money available either. 2008, Grand Canyon University went public, got an infusion of $254 million worth of invested funds. At that point, we had less than 1,000 students on our campus, less than 10,000 students online. Today, we have 8,500 students on the ground. We're growing to 25,000 students on the ground in the next 4 or 5 years, and we've done that by offering students really, really low tuition, room, board, and fee rates. Online, we have now 50,000 students, and that's growing by 7 or 8 percentage points a year. So our decision to build a business plan and go seek investor support and not tax support from the taxpayers has turned out to be tremendously beneficial from our students, because what we've got now is a fast-growing private Christian university with very low tuition rates. It's high-quality education. 70% of our students are going to be studying in STEM areas, which lead to good, high-paying jobs. It's at no expense to the taxpayer. Our investors have gotten a reasonable return as a result of their investment, and so what we have now is a situation where everybody's won.
Okay, Brian, you're telling us about an incredible success story there with Grand Canyon University, and as things are changing now with the education system, are you hearing from other institutions like yours that want to replicate that success and are maybe considering going from a non-for-profit model to a for-profit model to have similar success to what you just told us about?
Two things. One, there's many universities now, including Arizona State in our own backyard, who are looking to offer education to traditional students in a campus environment and also offer education to working adult students and delivering it online. The combination of two student bodies sharing a common infrastructure can create huge efficiencies and allow you to lower tuition and keep costs in control. There are also universities who are thinking about using investment in terms of a strategy to raise dollars versus donations. Nobody's really moved in that direction yet, but there's 1,000 private and state universities who are looking to offer education.
Well, Brian Mueller, we'll have to leave it right there. A promising story from Grand Canyon University, and we thank you for commenting on the president's plan. We appreciate that very much, Brian.
Yeah, tough road ahead for the president, but we got to run, and thank you, Brian, for your time. You can reach out to us on social media. What do you think about the president's plan for education? We'll love to